So this was one of my first forays into green smoothies. And she's definitely much more intense than what I'm going to teach you today. So if you want to graduate to the level of long clippings, which are very good for you, but maybe doesn't taste as good as I'm going to teach you how to make it today. Her smoothies are really great. And she teaches you all about the benefits, and she teaches you, a little bit about like why the foods are healthy. And she's very, very heavy on the fiber side with her smoothies. So, it's always something to kind of experiment with. Some people do really well with more or less. And, some people will maybe have so much fiber and it's like such a shock to their system that it doesn't go so well. And other people like thrive on a ton of fiber and like raw vegetables and stuff like that. So smoothies, one of the biggest arguments with smoothies is that they're better than juices because of all the fiber that's contained in them. So when you juice something, you're getting rid of the fiber. But on the other hand, and it's actually one of the questions that is in the Q&A at the end of the slides, but the contrast to that is that when you're juicing, which I do, I usually have a smoothie almost every day of some kind, protein shake kind of smoothie, and then I also have a juice in the morning. And so the contrast to not having the fiber is you're getting a lot more of the enzymes and nutrients than you would if you were just like eating a carrot, for example, because you're going to juice like maybe 4 carrots and you're going to have like a whole apple. And, you're not going to sit down and eat 4 carrots, an apple, a lemon, and some kale. So if you're looking for those raw enzymes and those nutrients and just getting like a really high dose of it, you could argue that you could do that in a green smoothie as well. But sometimes if you're doing the types of foods and vegetables that you would do in a juice, in a smoothie, it's going to be very, very, very green unless you do some of the balancing tactics that I'm going to talk about in the slide. So it is 3 after, so let's go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. I'll try to keep an eye on if anybody joins to add them in. Okay, so just a reminder, let's see here. Okay, there we go. Just a reminder, coming up next week is detoxing your home and environment. And the week after that, we're going to talk about how to make your own milk. So whether you want to make almond milk or oat milk or cashew milk or whatever, we're going to teach you how to do it. And we might talk a little bit as well as to, why that may be beneficial over dairy milk. And then also what are maybe some of the pitfalls of store-bought dairy-free milk. So a lot of people have questions about some of the added ingredients in there. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then just a reminder that after 3 months of membership, you can reach out to us for a 20-minute call, get some questions answered. And if you invite friends, when 3 join for at least 1 month, you get a 45-minute consult. Oh, Carly's trying to come in here. And then I wanted to ask you guys before we get in, how many of you have tried protein shakes or green smoothies before? Both of you? Okay. Carly, I know Carly's kind of popping on here. Welcome, Carly. And then how many of you do like green juices or anything like that? Have you ever tried? Okay. And do you ever get them like when you go out to eat, like at a breakfast place or something, like, oh, we have this juice blend? Okay. Some of you, yes, some of you no. Okay. And then with the green smoothies or protein shakes, are those a regular thing for you guys, or just you've tried it in the past and it's not really a daily thing?
Not daily.
Not daily? Okay.
No, yeah, I don't know, because it's trying to fit it into my schedule at this point in time. Like, because I'm trying to do the detox, and because I feel so swollen, and so, like, I'm getting up in the morning and I do the warm lemon, apple cider vinegar, honey. Like, I drink a mug of that, and I do the Zeo Boost, and I'm like trying to. So I just feel so bloated, and I'm running to the bathroom so often at school with everything that I drink before I go to school that I don't eat too much or do too much in the morning beyond that.
Because we were talking about that a little bit in the Facebook page, right? You're talking about the swollen limbs and everything. Yeah, that's been going on for a little while. Okay. Were you able to check out that website?
I did just briefly. I did get on it the other day and look. So
Yeah, she does have a link to testing that you can get. And then on her website, she explains how to interpret it so that you know if you have EBV and if it's a current issue for you. Because a lot of people, if they get certain markers, it will tell you, yeah, everybody's had mono or EBV in the past at some point. But there's the way she runs it and the test that she has extra markers on it that if they are activated, and there's a whole chart on her website that'll be like, interpret it this way. That it'll tell you, okay, no, this is EBV and it's a reactivation, which gives you some information to go off of for sure. So that might be helpful. But yeah, in terms of ease, that's one of the benefits I think of the smoothies and how I'm going to kind of teach you how to make them is that once you kind of have the foundational, like, oh, this is how you do it, and this is how you throw it together. You could literally do the same one every day. Shaking it up every now and again is always beneficial because just with our diet, we want a lot of nutrient variety. But you can really personalize your smoothie to be like, okay, I want to focus it more on detox. I want to focus it more on lowering inflammation. I want to focus it more on hormone support. I want to focus it more. And you can do that all by adjusting the add-ins. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then if you guys have any specific questions, I can maybe point you in a direction. But the whole goal of this is to make it super, super easy and take any sort of fear around doing it away and any sort of inconvenience away. And I think sometimes we think a green smoothie has to be like 50 vegetables that we throw into a blender. And so maybe we should reterm this a shake meal as opposed to a green smoothie, because what we want to do is we want to balance your blood sugar. We want to throw a bunch of superfoods in based on your goals, and we want it to be super, super nutrient dense. Those are kind of the big goals here. So let me jump in and we'll kind of do like a short little recap really quickly. So last week, in case you guys weren't here on the video last week, Sophie talked about how to open up drainage and energy pathways. And she went through this supplement protocol. And so if this is something that you were interested in doing, just let us know if you haven't already. And if you have any questions about it, just let us know. I believe it's a 15% off discount when you go through the links that she has provided on the Facebook page. But yeah, as you go through this, we want to make sure that we're kind of like bringing this up on the calls in the Facebook group again. So like if you guys have ordered it, if you've started taking it, like let us know how you're doing and let us know if you have any questions. And just a reminder, the way that you take it, the protocol schedule is in the Facebook group as well. And if you get, kind of lost trying to find it, just click guide up at the top and then click September, and it's right in there as a post. So you should be able to find it pretty easily. But if you guys have any questions about that, just let us know. We want to make sure that you're supported as you go through anything nutritionally or supplementally through this process. Okay, so
quick question.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah.
Is that protocol generally like you also do it for 1 month?
This, I believe, is specifically a 30-day protocol. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Just to kind of, so this is going to bind some toxins. This is going to help your bowels start moving. This supports your liver and bile flow. And this is a mineral. And so all together, they support detoxification and energy, sort of like first level phase.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks. Yeah, no problem. And please do, since Sophie is not on the call today, I can't like see the chat when I'm sharing the slides. If you have a question, just unmute and let me know. And we'll also do questions at the end too. Okay, so we are going to talk about 3 green smoothie myths. I'm going to bust them really quickly, and how to make a superfood detox gut healing smoothie that also tastes great. So I'm excited to kind of talk about that today. Okay, so myth number 1, green smoothies have to be green. Oh, that's very silly. And probably most of you don't even believe that because you've probably seen a lot of people holding up quote unquote green smoothies that are purple or orange or, whatever. And that just totally depends on, do you throw a couple blueberries in it? It's probably going to be dark blue, purple, maybe even black looking. If you throw a bunch of carrots in it, it's going to be orange, right? And so it just highly depends on the protein powders, the fruits, and the veggies that you choose to throw in. But All of these are valid, healthy smoothies. And so the color doesn't necessarily determine the health benefits of the smoothie. Myth number 2 is that green smoothies can only have fruits and vegetables. So I think that's probably a really big one. Everybody says, okay, it's a green smoothie. It's literally only produce. But we actually prefer that you would balance your green smoothie with protein and fats so that we can create a complete meal with it. And you are not just getting fiber and sugar and nutrients and vitamins, but you're also getting, the full macro spectrum there of protein, fat, and carbohydrates, so that you can beef it up, make it higher calorie. If you're going to have a green smoothie, we're thinking probably 500 to 600 calories here, so that it can be a meal. So we're going to add a lot to it in order to do that. Myth number 3, green smoothies have to taste like grass. So I was talking about this a little bit before Carly came on, but I don't know if you guys can see this book here that can you see my video still? Okay. So Green Smoothies Diet by Robin Openshaw is a really wonderful resource. Now, these ones are a little more towards the really intense, produce heavy. I don't think she usually adds protein powder, and very, very high in fiber. And I remember she was one of my first forays into green smoothies. And you do get used to the grassy taste if you do it a lot. But what I'm going to teach you is how to kind of make it a complete meal. So you can always supplement with this if this is fitting into some goals, or you just really want more greens in, or you really, really need more fiber. This is excellent. But I really do believe that you can do it in a way that also tastes really, really good, and creates a balanced meal with protein as well. So I'm going to kind of talk about how exactly to do that. So we're going to talk about the steps that you can use and just kind of make it as a formula. So you're always going to start with ice and water, or the liquid at the bottom of the blender, because that's going to make it easier to blend. It's just kind of, little tips like that, especially if you don't have like a super high powered blender, that are going to make the whole process easier when you start throwing a lot of things in there. But the first step is really to choose what we call your base. So it really can be any dairy-free milk. We would recommend dairy-free, or it can be water, or it could be something like coconut water. I would not recommend using a juice, because a juice is going to be just straight sugar, and we're going to have a lot of antioxidants. We're going to have a lot of nutrients in this. You're not going to need a juice as your liquid base. So we would recommend a non-dairy milk or coconut water or water. And the thing with these bases, the more flavor that your smoothie has through the ingredients, the less you're going to need the milk. Milk, if you get, for example, an almond milk with a little bit of vanilla to it, can add a real creaminess and a little bit of flavor to it that kind of perks it up a little bit if you don't have some flavors that pop in your smoothie. But if you have a really nutrient dense smoothie with a lot of flavors in it, you're probably going to not need the milk so much, and you can stick with water. So like I've said, protein is really important. We really want you to add these to your smoothies to help keep you full, to create a balanced meal. On average, we're sort of loosely aiming for 20 to 30 grams of protein a meal. But, I say that in a way that I don't want, that quote unquote guideline to turn into a stressor. So I don't want you to be like thinking, oh my gosh, well, my protein powder only has like 16 grams of protein, so I have to, I have to add all these other things. Just, it's a loose goal, but the point is we want a significant amount of protein in there. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. So there are a lot of different sources that you can use, and you can mix and match them. So you obviously can use a protein powder, but then if, let's say, it does have 16 grams and you're trying to get to 20 or 25, you can always add some other things like nuts, seeds, or even some oatmeal, as long as it's certified gluten-free and you don't have an issue with oats. And here's some other plant-based protein sources as well. Some of these, like peas, may not be the best thing to throw into a smoothie, but hemp is a really great option. Chia is a really great option. So a lot of the things that we're going to talk about, whether they fall into a specific category, you'll see that when you're talking about whole foods and their benefits, they overlap categories a lot. So we're going to end up talking about nuts and chia and flax and hemp multiple other times. So the second step is to choose your protein. So these are just a couple that I wanted to list out as specific examples because we knew that people would ask us like, well, what do you use and what do you like? And, what are the best brands? So Shakeology is my personal favorite. So I'm going to tell you some pros and cons to it really quickly. So the one of the biggest pros is that if you have like texture issues with protein powders or you're really, really picky about the flavor, Shakeology is almost universally liked. There's a few people that maybe think it's too sweet or they just don't like the flavor, but most people that are thinking, I'm going to have a hard time with a protein shake or a smoothie or something of that nature, love Shakeology. So for that reason, it makes a really, really good option. I also like it because it comes together with a bunch of other superfoods in it, including some medicinal mushrooms and some other antioxidant rich foods. And it also has some, I think it has one probiotic in it, one probiotic strain. So I particularly really, really like the flavor and the content. Now, the cons to it, it's not certified gluten-free and it's not certified organic. Now, I did see some information about why it's not certified organic years and years ago. And a lot of the superfoods that they source are from other countries. And so one of the comments is that the farmers from those countries, it would be a very large expense for them to get organic certification. So that's one of the reasons that it's not. But I do think that overall, it's a pretty high quality product. And even though it's not certified gluten-free, I've never had an issue with that. Dr. Axe has some collagen brands. So collagen is another way that you can boost some protein in there, and there can be flavors or it can be unflavored when you have collagen. Ancient Nutrition bone broth proteins. So those are, again, some different flavors and varieties in there. So a lot of the benefit of a protein powder besides the protein is actually finding a flavor that you really like that makes the smoothies doable for you. So you can kind of maybe experiment with some of these. And Truvani is another plant-based protein. So obviously the collagen and the bone broth would be animal-based. Shakeology, I do the vegan chocolate, so that is pea-based, and Truvani is also plant-based as well. And Truvani is organic, and it only has I think 5 ingredients, so it is super, super clean. So again, you can mix and match. So if you wanted to combine a couple things, you could do some version of a protein powder over here, and then you could add something like hemp, chia, flax, or a nut butter as well. All of those will help boost your protein content. So greens and fiber, sort of like I mentioned earlier, this is something that can be tailored to your own needs. So sometimes too much fiber or too many raw greens can actually irritate your gut or exacerbate your digestive issues or cause you to run to the bathroom every time you have a shake with diarrhea, right? And the goal of a smoothie is to really create an easy to digest meal and something that is really, it's already a little bit digested for you. So it makes it a little bit easier on your body and it makes it easy for your body to absorb the nutrients. So that's one of the really big goals there. So greens and fiber are things that you can kind of play with to see how you feel. I'll be honest, I don't add a ton of greens to my green smoothie. So don't judge me. Maybe I should have renamed it the protein shake class tonight. but I also do greens in my green juice in the morning. So there's, you can do things a bunch of different ways. But you do want to get, it's beneficial to get some fiber in your day. Most people do not get enough fiber. The USDA or the US RDA is 25 grams for women, and most women in the United States are not hitting 25 grams. And that's just the recommended daily allowance, which, it's sort of RDAs are sort of what kind of keeps you from disease. And so when you look at optimal levels of fiber, it's typically even higher than that. So we do want to make sure that we're conscientious about that and choosing things that do have fiber in them. So spinach is a green that you can throw in that is least likely to change flavor. Things like Swiss chard and collard greens and things like that are on this page here, and kale, those might have a little bit more of a tang or a little green flavor to them. Again, that might be okay. When you have a protein powder, it might cover that up a lot depending on how strong that flavor is. Greens powders, they're not going to have a lot of fiber, but it's a nice way to get a massive exposure to a lot of different greens that, we don't have time to grow 15 different greens in our house or to go buy like 15 different ones and keep them fresh all week, right? So greens powders are a really nice way to get that variety of nutrients in there from a lot of different greens. And you can always add fiber by adding things like seeds and chia and flax and fruit. And carrot, cucumber, or a banana with a peel. Those are all ways that you're going to be able to add some fiber. So a lot of people ask me about banana with the peel. So I would encourage that you only use the peel of a banana if it is organic, but you'll cut the end off of either side, rinse it off, and throw the entire banana in. Only do that though if it's not frozen. If it is frozen, it doesn't work quite as well in terms of blending up the peel and not getting a texture difference. So if it's not frozen and you add the peel in and you blend it all up, it blends really smoothly. You do not taste the difference. It does not change the texture in like a weird, chewy, stringy way or anything. You'll be really, really, really surprised actually. But what you're doing by adding the peel is you're getting added fiber and resistant starch, which is really beneficial for your gut bacteria. So you can see there's lots of different ways to get both greens and fiber, again, by mixing and matching. I'll just pause here really quickly. Do any of you have any questions right now? Okay. All right, just unmute if you do, or let me know. Okay, so we're gonna talk about fruit. Lots of people have lots of opinions about fruit in a smoothie, right? Like, don't have fruit at all. It's gonna ruin your blood sugar. It's too sugary. Or what I see a lot of people do is say, oh, I'm having a smoothie, and it's basically like strawberries and milk, right? It's like just fruit. Or they'll do like fruit and yogurt or something like that. So it's one extreme or the other. Don't do it, or like that's it. That's all that's in there. So add the fiber of fruit when you can, because things like adding the peel of the banana really adds a lot of that fiber to your meal. So that's really great and helps kind of balance it. But when you are creating a smoothie or a shake in the way that we're saying, with protein and fat and carbohydrates, then you don't really have to worry about it. So when you eat an apple, for example, it kind of comes with its own fiber, with the skin, and with its all, all in this package, that it's not like drinking apple juice. So when you're throwing some fruits in, add the fiber when you can. Like, for example, you might not be adding the skin of a fig or the skin of a grapefruit. Things like that. Although I will tell you, things like lemon peels and orange peels are edible. So maybe do a little bit of research on some of the things if you are thinking about throwing the peel or the skin in. But when possible, add the fiber of the fruit. But, don't worry about it too much. Add a little bit of fruit. You're already going to have the protein. You're already going to add the fat in. It's creating a balanced meal. And fruit is one of the primary ways that you can sweeten the smoothie naturally and improve the flavor a lot. So some of the fruits that, might be a little bit more common, pineapple. Pineapple is a really, really sweet one that can really add a lot of flavor. It also comes with bromelain. Bromelain is an enzyme that helps you break down proteins, and that's a natural enzyme within pineapple. So it's pretty cool, because if you add pineapple, you're also adding a digestive enzyme into the meal. Banana with the peel, we just talked about that. Kiwi, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, grapes. Now, grapes are going to add a lot of water to your smoothie, so just keep that in mind in terms of liquid ratios there. If you add a cup of grapes, you're actually adding a significant amount of liquid to your smoothie, so just keep that in mind. But a lot of these too can act as ice. So if you have frozen berries, for example, you can take a cup of frozen berries in there, make your smoothie really, really cold, thicken it up a little bit, etc. And what's nice about frozen berries is that you can get organic frozen in the months that, they're not like, you can get blueberries in like February versus, when they're fresh in the late summer. So the other thing we want to do is add healthy fats. So again, we've talked about how protein and fat help really balance that smoothie. It also helps keep you full until the next meal. So one of the reasons we really encourage you to do protein, fat, and carbs, and not just a protein and fat, or not just a fiber and fruit, or, you know, whatever smoothie, and really balancing it, is so that you really get the variety of nutrients, but also so that it keeps you full. And you feel really good until your next meal. You're not feeling like, oh my gosh, I just had like a cup of strawberries and a little bit of almond milk and I'm hungry like, you know, an hour later. So fat is really, really beneficial also for our brain, and it's used in the structure of every cell in your body. So it's definitely not something to shy away from. So there's just, I put a lot of these pictures in here just to give you some inspiration, some different ideas. You can always add nuts or different oils or avocado. So a couple of these fat options here: peanut butter, almond butter, sun butter, so a lot of nut butters. Avocado adds a lot of creaminess, and so does banana as well. So those are two, like if you like to thicken up or make your smoothie really creamy and you like that, avocado and bananas are really great for that. Nuts and seeds are going to add some healthy fats in there. Tahini is like a sesame seed butter. You could even add like a little bit of oil. If you have some sort of strong flavor in your smoothie or shake, it can cover up some of these other things that might not taste quite as good, like olive oil. Or you could go with maybe adding, like on this other page, maybe a little bit of coconut oil. And coconut oil even does have a little bit of a sweetness to it naturally as well. Okay, so then we get to what I think is like one of the most fun parts, and that is like really souping it up with some superfoods. And basically, the way I think about superfoods are foods that are considered like really nutrient dense. And these are foods that you can often just throw in like a teaspoon or a tablespoon of these foods into your smoothie for extra nutritional support. And you can do this based on your likes or your needs. So this is where you can really start personalizing it. So you've gotten your fat, your carbs, your protein, you have a meal, you know that you've kind of covered all the bases. And now maybe you want to work on your immune system, for example. So we're going to choose some different superfood add-ins. So some common ones are hemp seeds. Now, hemp seeds, I said, you know, earlier, there's a lot of these things that in different categories are going to overlap a significant amount, just because superfoods like just whole foods are packed with so many vitamins and nutrients that they have so many different benefits, and they cover so many different areas of the body. They're not just focused on one singular thing. They cover a wide base. So hemp seeds, they do offer a complete plant-based protein. So a lot of times plant-based proteins aren't complete. They don't have the complete amino acids that we need. And so you have to mix and match. But hemp seeds are actually one that do. So that's pretty cool. And again, when you're looking at protein shakes, a hemp seed protein, a high quality hemp seed protein would be a great idea. Chia seeds, flax seeds, cinnamon. So when you're thinking about add-ins here, chia seeds, again, healthy fats, omega-3s, as well as fiber. Same thing with flax, healthy fats, omega-3s, some good fiber there. Cinnamon, really great for flavor, but also super beneficial for some other reasons I'll talk about in just a minute. Goji berries, turmeric, ginger, spirulina powder, and cacao. So like these are just a lot of things that maybe you could just, maybe you have in your pantry, or a couple that you might really be attracted to that you can keep on hand. But one of the things we definitely want to do is make it taste good. So some of the top flavor enhancements are the protein powders. So I talked about that. Some protein powders just are really good, right? They'll kind of carry the flavor of the smoothie. I really like chocolate vegan Shakeology, so that chocolate flavor carries through, even if I add some other things that maybe it needs to quote unquote cover up a little bit. Banana is a really good flavor enhancement. It's very sweet. If you add an entire banana, it adds a lot of flavor to your smoothie. 1 cup of pineapple, a tablespoon of a nut butter, cinnamon is a really good flavor enhancement. Cocoa powder or cacao nibs, things like that. Cacao nibs might be a little bit bitter. So some other add-ins, again, talking about doing it by category. If you're looking for more detoxification, going for some greens, green powders, spirulina, which is very detoxifying and pulls like heavy metals and grabs different things and pulls them out of your body. parsley, maybe a dropper of milk thistle. So if you have some tinctures, again, your smoothie can kind of hide a lot of things. So sometimes if someone's on a different protocol for various different reasons, they might have a tincture that they need to hide into a juice or whatever, drink 2 or 3 times a day. Your smoothie is a great place to kind of hide those. So if you're wanting a little bit of liver support and you really want to get some milk thistle in, but you don't want to taste it, throw it into your smoothie. For digestion, you have some herbs or spices like peppermint, ginger, pineapple, chia, flax, or you could add like a little bit of aloe juice. Now just be aware, most aloe juices that you're going to get, if you drink too much of them, they will give you diarrhea. So if you're constipated, maybe add a little bit more, but just be aware of that side effect. You don't want to be dumping like a ton of fresh aloe juice in there. But it may be something that you want to add if you are having a little bit of acid reflux, a little bit of inflammation in your stomach lining. So that could be a nice little add-in for digestion or for some anti-inflammatory action there. For inflammation or high antioxidant levels, you can add some fresh ginger, some fresh turmeric, berries. So again, we talked about all the different berries, whether they're fresh or frozen. You could add some cinnamon. Again, high antioxidants there. Goji berries, goji berries kind of came out a few years ago as like this massive superfood. So those are great to kind of throw in there. And if you're looking for maybe some specific immune system or antiviral support, things like bee pollen or a little bit of honey or cayenne if you like some spice, coconut oil, matcha powder, or I didn't put it on here, but if you have medicinal mushrooms like chaga, for example, or reishi, you can get those in powders now from sources like Four Sigmatic, or they have like different blends. So depending on what you're looking for, if it's an immune system blend, if it's a focused blend for your brain health, things like that, they have mixed a lot of medicinal mushrooms together in these powders, and that would be a wonderful add-in to your smoothie. And you could kind of fit it in whatever your goal is there. And matcha is great because matcha is like green tea on crack. It's like the ultimate strong version of green tea, and green tea has just been shown to have so many benefits. It's anti-cancerous. It's so wonderful for so many preventative reasons for our health, but it does have a bitter taste and a lot of people don't enjoy it. So again, if you have a really sweet, not necessarily sweet, but really good flavored smoothie, like maybe you have a good protein powder, you have a banana in there, it can totally handle you throwing some things in like matcha powder in there without it really tasting too bitter. So it's a really easy way to get something like that in your day if you've been struggling with it. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple examples. So here's a smoothie with a detox focus. So you have your ice, your water, you have your protein powder, which if you remember back to Sophie kind of sharing the nutrients that we need for phase 1 and phase 2 liver, your liver needs a lot of amino acids for phase 2. So the protein powder, getting all those amino acids in there is going to be liver supportive. Spirulina or something like that binds up chemicals and toxins and is packed with antioxidants. Pineapple, natural digestive aid, kind of helping things break down and go through. Cilantro is a heavy metal binder. It's a natural, and that, some people don't like cilantro, so maybe just add a little bit or skip it if you have an aversion. Ginger, I'm throwing that in there as a digestive aid. A carrot, 1 raw carrot a day has been shown to help detox excess estrogen and help kind of bind to estrogen and help it clear out of the system. So it's just a nice natural detoxing thing you can chomp on a raw carrot a day if you want to, or if you want to add it to your smoothie, no problem. And carrots actually tend to have a little bit of sweetness to them. So if you have like a green juice, for example, it has a lot of carrots in it, or if you add it to a smoothie, it's not, it definitely is not on the bitter side. It's more on the sweet side. And a cup of blueberries. So again, where the protein and the amino acids help that one phase of the liver, the antioxidants are helping the other side of the liver. So you're seeing here, it's not like this, there's a lot of things that are overlapping here, right? You're getting a lot of antioxidants, you're getting protein, you're getting just a lot of natural food substances that are helping your body on pretty much all levels. But we just decided to throw a detox focus onto it. And that's what we're kind of pulling out from these, but they have a lot of other benefits as well. So here's an example of a smoothie that I might have on a regular basis. So I'll have my ice, my water. I love my chocolate vegan Shakeology. I might add, if we have a whole banana, I'll throw that in there with the peel. A cup of blueberries. I try to get a cup of berries in a day. It's kind of my general goal. Maybe I'll have a teaspoon of spirulina. If we have a greens powder, maybe I'll add a greens powder. I often throw a nut butter in there. And this leads to something that it's a large glass that is filled with probiotics, prebiotics, fiber, fat, protein, antioxidants, and superfoods. And it takes me, 2 minutes to kind of throw it together and mix it up. Just kind of pause for a second here because I've been talking nonstop. How you guys doing? Do you have any questions? Is this information helpful? Is it kind of helping shift how you're thinking about creating these a little bit? Seeing some head nods. Okay. All right, cool. Well, let me know if you have any questions. I'll just kind of keep going here. Okay, so I mentioned cinnamon like 5 different times, and you saw that it was listed under a lot of different topics, right? So like I said, there are ingredients that kind of do a lot of different things. But one of the things that you can do, especially as we kind of come into the cooler seasons, you can really add some spice, or you can make it seasonal, and you can change it up from spring and summer and fall and winter. And so cinnamon, besides tasting amazing and really adding a lot of flavor, but specifically in the fall, and you could also add some cloves there if you really wanted a fall flavor. But cinnamon also supports healthy blood sugar levels. So it's a really great blood sugar support. So if you tend to struggle with that, and maybe you want to add a little bit of fruit to your smoothie and you're a little concerned about it, maybe you add some cinnamon in there as well and see how you do, see how you feel. And then it's packed with antioxidants, it's antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal. When you get these superfoods and spices, a lot of them kind of cover all of those bases. They're packed with antioxidants and they're anti everything bad. So it's a pretty, that's what I'm saying when like these whole foods, when you're kind of throwing them into a shake, it makes it so good for your body on so many levels. So obviously we're coming in September and October, there's pumpkin everything. You could totally add a 1/4 cup of organic pumpkin puree, and that would be really creamy. It's going to be, again, you see here, high in antioxidants. You're going to get some fiber with this, high in vitamin C, packed with potassium. Add some cinnamon in there, maybe some apple, and you're kind of creating this fall flavored smoothie and shaking it up a little bit with seasonal nutrients. Okay, so we did have a couple questions come in before we got on. So I wanted to try to address those really quickly. And then any other questions that you have, we'll definitely have time at the end. So one of the questions was, can we discuss celery and its benefits? Does it have to be in juice form or to be beneficial? So yes and no, right? So like you're going to get a benefit just chomping on raw celery or having it with some nut butter or adding it in a stew. Any way that you get celery in is going to be beneficial. The biggest difference, like we were saying earlier, between a whole vegetable and its juice is the fiber content and the concentration. So you may get some more enzymes out of the nutrients from juicing just because of the amount that you are juicing. Like you're juicing an entire stalk versus you're going to eat maybe like 2 or 3, right? But you're not getting any of the fiber. So both are beneficial, but it kind of depends on your goals. And I do recommend, like, if you do some green juicing of any kind, that you do that with a meal, that you are going to balance that with some protein and fat. And so if you just look, I mean, it's kind of shocking for a plant that doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. I mean, look at the mineral and vitamin profile. It's got potassium, manganese, copper, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, vitamins K, B9, B5, B6, B2, C, A, B. I mean, this is incredible for an incredibly low calorie, not super flavorful food. So pretty much every natural food is going to be packed with stuff like this. So protein powders. I know hemp protein can be good if one is not sensitive to pea protein. Do you like or gain or recommend any others? So we did address that earlier. I definitely mentioned some brands to consider. So one concern that people have is that protein powders might have some heavy metals. This is probably one of the biggest questions or concerns that they have. Most plant-based things like protein powders or green powders are probably going to have some level of heavy metals naturally. So my general recommendation is to find a brand that you trust. You think it's a good, high quality brand, I usually am going to avoid whey. So for example, with Shakeology, they have the vegan, which I do, and they have the whey, which I don't do. And I don't know what their whey sourcing is. Okay, so just find brands, or maybe look at the brands that we've talked about. But like this person mentioned, hemp protein powder can be good. Absolutely can, because it's a complete protein. So it's a really good option. And then the last question, I'm interested in learning how I can incorporate ginger and turmeric into the smoothies. So I like this question because ginger is amazing for digestive support, and it fights against many diseases, including cancer and Alzheimer's. And turmeric is an amazing anti-inflammatory as well that also fights cancer and is antiviral. So a lot of these herbs and spices have a lot of antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, pro-immune system work, basically. So you can definitely add a little bit of like a powdery spice to it if you have it in your cabinet, if you have like an organic spice in your cabinet. But you can also peel and add small pieces of the fresh root to a smoothie. So maybe chop it up into little pieces, or just throw a little chunk in there and blend it up. You could add much more turmeric than you could ginger, just comfortably flavor-wise. So ginger is going to be very zippy, so you might want to start with a little amount and see how you do. And you might be able to add more depending on depending on the other flavors. Like, do you have a banana in there? Do you have pineapple in there? Do you have like a really strong tasting protein powder? You might be able to add a little bit more of the ginger. But if it doesn't have a strong flavor already, then maybe just a little bit, or otherwise that will become like your primary flavor because it's pretty strong. But a lot with like herbs and spices, you don't always need a whole lot anyway. But you could probably put a whole thumb of turmeric in there and get a good dose of anti-inflammatory action, and probably not even, notice much of a flavor. So I just threw this in here as an example. So they had water, ice, frozen mango. So that's another way to get like ice cubes or some fruits, frozen fruits in there. Half cup Greek yogurt. So if you guys want to do like a dairy-free yogurt, or you could swap this out, basically, would be protein. So if you want to swap that out for the protein powder there. And then they have a tablespoon of grated turmeric root and a teaspoon of grated ginger. So again, you see there's a little bit of a difference. There's a lot of turmeric and a little bit of ginger because it's so zippy, but that's a really nice way to kind of get those in there. You can get them in there at the same time, actually. The ginger and turmeric are definitely things that you can combine too.
Kylene, I have a question for
Yep.
you. Where do you find turmeric root? Because when I go to Kroger, I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, so usually if a store has it, it's going to be in the produce section, kind of near like the vegetables or the greens. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I've seen turmeric at Kroger.
I personally haven't.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I've seen it. I don't know that I have. We do get I think it's a little tub of like all these turmeric, because we use it a lot in the juices in the morning. We'll put a bunch in there. At Whole Foods, they have like you can either get them free, like out of like you can pick like one at a time, or they have one that is like a little cardboard thing full of them that comes in a little bag, and it is organic. So they do have that option.
Perfect. Thank you.
I know ginger is definitely at Kroger. Yeah. And with ginger and both of them, you are going to want to peel those. You're not going to want to just throw those in. Yeah. That'd probably be a little too fibrous-y, and the ginger skin's a little rough there. Okay, so overall, I just kind of I hope you guys are taking away that there are a lot of ways to make a smoothie interesting, and a lot of ways to make it taste good as well, and that you can customize it to meet your needs. But primarily, I wanted to show you that essentially what you're going to do is you're going to pick a base, you're going to pick a protein, a fat, and then you are going to have all these superfood add-ins. You're maybe going to pick a fruit as well. And then you're going to have all these little add-ins. And that's where you can really personalize it and change it to be, higher in antioxidants or higher anti-inflammatory, or kind of, maybe getting some more greens in that you normally would, things like that. So I hope this was helpful. I just talked about green smoothies for 45 minutes. Do you guys have any other questions? how did that go for you? Was there anything new that you learned? Did it simplify the process a little bit? Did it inspire you to go find a good protein powder? Let me know your
Yeah,
thoughts.
I'm ready to run out to the market and get some vegetables, and
There you go.
yeah, which is probably what I'm gonna do. Go get some fresh vegetables and stuff to make a smoothie.
Good. So, another fun thing to do is just to Google some green smoothies. And that way you get some really good flavor combination ideas because people kind of already figured it out. And then just double check it, kind of skim it and be like, is there protein in here? Is there fat in here? Because if not, you can always throw some nuts in, or you can add your protein powder to that smoothie. You can kind of tweak it to make it a little bit more balanced. Because a lot of times when you see like a smoothie recipe online, you're seeing really, really sweet or really, really sugar heavy. But that is a great place to start because a lot of times they'll have like an interesting combination of like a fruit and a spice or something like that that you might not naturally think of adding together yourself. And the green smoothie diet is a really good resource if you want to get really into some of the ingredients and some of the intense benefits of she drinks like a quart a day, I think. So it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. And if you're, interested in getting into some of the more greens and high fiber and all that kind of stuff, it's a great resource. Great resource. But good. So, okay. So one other thing that I would like to know from this is there a way that you maybe made smoothies in the past that you're thinking, okay, I need to shift this in the future, like adding protein or I can add more fruit than I thought, or maybe I never thought about adding spices. Like, was there something that you learned that kind of stood out as, oh, I need to try that?
I think for me, the breakdown of building a smoothie was really helpful because for me, it's always been protein powder, almond milk, and I'll throw in a banana or something, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, that is a really good start. And when you're in a hurry or you're not very hungry, that's a great place to be. But if you want the added benefits, you can just kind of create your little smoothie bar basically of options, right? Because when you kind of get some of these powders here and there, you're not going to go through them super quickly. And so if you get a couple, over the course of a few months, it's kind of like building your cooking spice cabinet, right? Like you'll kind of increase like what you're used to and what you like, and you'll figure out different flavor combinations. And Jill, you had mentioned vegetables. So just keeping in mind too, like what fruits and what vegetables are high water content. So for example, if you're adding like a cucumber, that's going to be high water content. If you're adding watermelon, that's high water content. If you're adding grapes, that's high water content. So just keep that in mind when you are adding your liquid, because if you're going to add those types of fruits or vegetables, you're going to need a lot less of the base. And you'll be massively hydrated.
I always forget the fat part of it. I remember the protein powder, and then I put in, whatever greens I don't want to eat raw or whatever it is. But I love the seasonal spice pumpkin. I never thought of that, but that would be
Yeah. Add a little bit of pumpkin puree. Put some cinnamon is honestly one of my favorite spice add-ins to a smoothie, especially, well, it really goes with any, right? Like if you're a vanilla person, cinnamon tastes good with vanilla. If you're a chocolate person, cinnamon tastes amazing, right? But same thing with like extracts. So around Christmas time, if you tend to like your base is like a chocolate base, add a little bit of mint extract to that. So you can really add a lot and make it seasonal and just kind of make it more fun. And like I said, I'm a little partial to Shakeology just because it is a very strong flavor that really lets you throw things in. So it really kind of covers a multitude of people, so to speak, and makes it really good no matter what you're doing. I even have, some of you guys might know the Veggie Cleanse protein powder. That's like a liver cleanse. And I've done that multiple times. I hate the flavor. It's horrible. And it's so strong that I still taste it even when I mix it with my Shakeology. But I will mix it together, and the Shakeology makes it so much more doable than me just like drinking it by itself, because it's literally like I hate the flavor so much, but it's so good for me. It's got so many nutrients for my liver, so I've done it a lot. But that's kind of how I make it happen. So. Good. Well, I would love to hear if you guys come up with a good smoothie mix, over the next week, or if you try a new vegetable or you try a new fruit or you have any questions, and that goes for everybody watching the replay as well, let us know. Share your experiments, whether they are awesome or whether they are a total bust and taste horrible. Let us know what you're trying in the Facebook group. You can warn somebody away from a specific combination. Or you can say, hey, I just figured out that if you mix these things together, it tastes super amazing. And I didn't have to eat for like 5 hours after that. And I had so much energy. But throughout the week this week, because this is such a heavy topic about like what different foods do and like how they benefit, pretty much every day this week is like 3 posts where I'm doing like little informational posts about like different ingredients. So I know it's a lot. You probably are going to feel a little bombarded with information, getting notifications. So maybe just like check in at the end of the day and scroll through them or whatever. But let me know if that kind of information is helpful, or if something comes up as you're reading something and you have a question that it didn't answer, or it spurred you to ask something about another food that you're, thinking about adding in, and you want to know, is it good for XYZ? Just let me know. I want to make sure that you guys are getting what you need. All right, ladies. Well, as usual, keep us posted. Let us know what other topics you want to learn about. And thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. I will talk to you next Tuesday. Go
Bye.
drink some green smoothies. Bye.